Most people don't lose to life. They lose to their own mind. And if you don't learn to master yours, someone else will. So, who's in control? You or the chaos inside your head? What if I told you that your chaos, your stress, your endless overthinking is all just a choice you're making every single day? The Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." But here's the hard truth. You've been seeking it everywhere except where it truly lives, your mind. Right now, you're stuck in a loop. You chase success, relationships, validation, thinking they'll bring you peace. But the more you chase, the more it slips away. Sound familiar? There's a way to break free, a way to silence the noise, master your mind, and find the peace you've been craving. Your mind is a battlefield. It's wild, untamed, and running your life. But what if you could flip the script? What if you could turn that chaos into clarity, that stress into strength, and that pain into power? This video is your map. We're diving deep into ancient Buddhist wisdom paired with modern discipline to show you how to take control. If you take away just one thing, let it be this: discipline is the bridge between pain and peace. Cross it and stick around. There's a powerful bonus lesson at the end that could change everything. Lesson 1. Mastering the monkey mind. The mind is restless, like a monkey, leaping from one branch of thought to another. Past regrets, future worries, endless distractions. It whispers fears that don't exist, doubts that paralyze, and cravings that never end. It runs untamed, creating storms where there is no rain. But here's the truth. A mind without discipline is a prison of its own making. A Buddhist teaching tells us the mind is like a turbulent river. Calm it, and you'll see your reflection clearly. Imagine standing by a river, its waters wild and muddy. You look down, but you see nothing, only distortion. This is what an undisciplined mind feels like: chaos, confusion, constant noise. But when the water settles, everything becomes clear. The river hasn't changed, you have. Most people never question their thoughts. They let their minds run unchecked, believing every fear, every doubt, every impulse. They become slaves to their emotions, pulled in every direction by their untamed monkey mind. But if you do not master your mind will master you. Have you ever tried sitting in complete silence? No phone, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. Most people can't do it for even 5 minutes before the discomfort sets in. The mind rebels, screaming for stimulation. Why? Because it is not trained to be still. But discipline is the bridge between chaos and peace. The first step to mastering your mind is to train it to be present, right here, right now. Not lost in yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's uncertainties. One simple practice can change everything. 5 minutes of breath-focused meditation every day. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Feel the breath enter your lungs. Exhale slowly. Feel the tension leaving your body. Every time the monkey mind jumps, return to the breath. Do this again and again until the mind begins to listen, until it stops fighting, until it obeys. At first, it will be difficult. The mind will resist. But discipline is not about what is easy. It is about what is necessary. The more you train your mind to return to stillness, the less power distractions and impulses will have over you. You will no longer be a slave to fear. You will no longer drown in overthinking. Instead, you will find clarity, focus, and most importantly, peace. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in silence without distractions? If you can't remember, then perhaps now is the time to start. Discipline your mind, and you will master your life. Who controls your mind? But who told you that? Was it your own voice, or was it the voice of fear? Was it insecurity whispering in your ear, or the weight of others' opinions? What if you lived as if limits didn't exist? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is belief. The belief that they are capable. And that belief comes from disciplining the mind, to reject the lies of the ego. If you want to be free, you must follow the 100% rule. Commit fully, without hesitation. Half effort brings half results. A mind filled with doubt creates failure before the first step is even taken. But a disciplined mind silences doubt and takes action despite fear. When you replace "I can't" with "I will try," something shifts. The cage begins to disappear. You start to see possibilities instead of obstacles. Breaking free, one step at a time. The path to freedom starts small. Challenge one self-limiting belief every day. When fear tells you you're not ready, prove it wrong by taking the first step. When doubt whispers you're not good enough, remind yourself that growth happens through effort, not perfection. Your ego is not your identity. It is only a voice, and you do not have to listen. Think about this. What's one thing you would conquer if fear didn't exist? Imagine the doors that would open, the confidence you would build, the life you could create. You were never meant to stay in a cage. You were meant to fly. So take the first step. Discipline your mind. Silence the ego. Set yourself free. The middle way, balance, not extremes. Discipline is not punishment. It is not suffering for success or sacrificing peace for progress. Yet many believe they must choose, push themselves to exhaustion, or surrender to comfort. But extremes are a trap. Burnout leaves you empty. Laziness leaves you lost. The key is balance, consistent effort without self-destruction. A Buddhist teaching says, discipline is like tuning a guitar. Too tight, and the string snaps. Too loose, and it won't play. Imagine holding a guitar in your hands. If the strings are too tight, they will break under pressure. If they are too loose, they will make no sound at all. The same is true for your mind, body, and life. Push too hard, and you will break. Do too little, and you will never grow. Some chase success with relentless force, working without rest, ignoring their health, relationships, and inner peace. They convince themselves that suffering equals progress. But what happens when a candle burns too fast? It dies before its time. Others fall into the trap of complacency. They wait for motivation, but it never comes. They want change, but they never act. The result? Regret. Because time passes, whether you use it or waste it. Find your balance. True discipline is the middle way. It is not extreme overworking, nor is it passive waiting. It is waking up and doing what needs to be done, consistently, patiently, with purpose. It is knowing when to push forward and when to rest, when to be strong, and when to be still. A disciplined mind understands. Growth does not come from punishment. It comes from balance. Look at your own life. Are you overworking, mistaking self-destruction for ambition? Or are you avoiding effort, waiting for the right time to begin? Find your balance. The way forward is not in extremes, but in daily, mindful discipline. Start by creating a routine that honors both effort and rest. Work with focus, but set boundaries. Push yourself, but allow recovery. Train your body, but nourish it too. Success is not built in a single day of extreme action. It is built in consistent, sustainable effort over time. Ask yourself, where in your life are you out of balance? If you are always tired, slow down. If you are always waiting, start moving. Discipline is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters every day without breaking yourself in the process. Find your balance and you will find your strength. Your greatest enemy is attachment, not pain. Pain is a part of life. It comes and goes, like the changing seasons, sometimes sharp, sometimes dull, but always temporary. Yet suffering? Suffering is a choice. It is the weight we carry, the wounds we refuse to let heal. And at the root of suffering is attachment. We cling to expectations, to people, to outcomes. We hold on so tightly that when life pulls them away, we are left broken. But what if the pain was never the real problem? What if the true source of suffering was your refusal to let go? A Buddhist teaching says, Attachment is like holding a hot coal. The tighter you grip, the more you burn. Imagine picking up a burning coal with your bare hand. The pain is immediate, searing. But instead of letting go, you hold on, believing that if you grip hard enough, it will stop hurting. It doesn't. It only burns deeper. This is what attachment does. When you refuse to release what is already slipping away, you create your own suffering. Think about your own life. What are you holding on to that is causing you pain? A relationship that no longer serves you? A version of yourself that no longer exists? An expectation that life should have unfolded differently? The tighter you hold, the more you suffer. But freedom begins the moment you release. Detachment is not coldness, it is peace. Detachment is not abandoning love or effort. It is releasing control over outcomes. Everything is temporary, and that is what makes it precious. You will feel pain. Loss will happen. Things will not always go your way. But suffering only exists when you resist what is. When you expect people to always stay. When you believe happiness should be permanent. When you attach your worth to external things. You set yourself up for disappointment. But when you learn to let go, peace follows. Practice detachment. Start small. Each day, let go of one expectation. If someone doesn't text back, accept it instead of overanalyzing. If a plan changes, adapt instead of resisting. If fear tells you that you need something to be happy, challenge that thought. The less you cling, the freer you become. Ask yourself, what are you clinging to that's causing you pain? Whatever it is, loosen your grip. Trust that what is meant to stay will stay, and what is meant to leave will leave. Your peace is not found in control. It is found in surrender. Let go, and you will finally be free. Breaking free, the power of the mind. Who told you that you couldn't? Was it your own voice, or was it the voice of fear, insecurity, the weight of others' opinions? What if you lived as if limits didn't exist? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is belief. Belief that they are capable. And that belief is forged in the discipline of the mind, the rejection of the ego's lies. If you want to be free, commit fully. Half effort brings half results. A mind filled with doubt fails before the first step is even taken, but a disciplined mind silences doubt and moves forward regardless of fear. When you replace "I can't" with "I will try," something shifts. The cage begins to disappear. Possibilities emerge where obstacles once stood. The path to breaking free begins small. Each day challenge one self-limiting belief. When fear whispers, "You're not ready," prove it wrong. Take the first step. When doubt says, "You're not good enough," remind yourself, growth comes from effort, not perfection. Your ego is not your identity. It is merely a voice, and you do not have to listen. Think about it. What's one thing you would conquer if fear didn't exist? Imagine the doors that would open, the confidence you would build, the life you would create. You were never meant to stay in the cage. You were meant to fly. Turning pain into light. You now hold a gift, the ability to recognize pain in another and say, "I understand." This is how suffering transforms, not as a burden, but as a bridge, not as something that breaks you, but as something that makes you. The next time life wounds you, do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead ask, "How can this make me kinder?" When life tests you, let it shape you, not into someone bitter, but into someone better. Be the blacksmith of your own soul. Use the fire to forge yourself into something unbreakable. Look around. Who in your life is struggling? Who needs to hear the words that you once longed to hear? Pain loses its grip when it is given a purpose. When you use your suffering to uplift others, you turn fire into light. The silence of no self. Breaking free from validation. The search for validation is endless. No amount of praise, success, or approval will ever feel like enough. You chase external approval hoping it will silence your doubt, but it never does. The more you seek validation, the more power you give away to opinions, to expectations, to fear. But what if you let go? What if you found peace without needing anyone else to give it to you? A Buddhist teaching says, the self is like a ripple on water. Calm the surface, and the ripple disappears. Imagine a still lake, untouched by wind. The surface is smooth, reflecting the sky above, but the moment a stone is thrown in, ripples distort the reflection. Your mind works the same way. The self, the identity you cling to, the reputation you defend, the approval you crave, is nothing more than ripples on the surface. You are not the ripples. You are the stillness beneath them. When you rely on validation, you become a prisoner of other people's opinions. You shape yourself based on what is accepted rather than what is true. But real freedom comes when you stop looking outward for confirmation of your worth. Think about the last time you felt at peace, not because someone praised you, not because you achieved something, but because, in that moment, you simply existed. That is the silence of no self. The space where you no longer need to prove anything, where you are enough, exactly as you are. To cultivate this peace, start small. Spend 10 minutes a day in stillness. No distractions, no outside voices, just you. Ask yourself, who am I without others' opinions? Notice how the mind seeks approval, then let it go. Return to the stillness beneath the ripples. You do not need to impress anyone to be worthy. You do not need validation to be at peace. The moment you stop chasing external approval, you begin to experience an unshakable inner peace. Who are you when the world is silent? That is the only voice that matters. Right action is the only therapy, the power of movement. Action is like a river. It carves its path through movement, not stagnation. Imagine a river flowing through the mountains. It does not pause to ask if the rocks are too big or if the path ahead is uncertain. It moves, it adapts, it carves its way forward with sheer persistence. But what happens when water stops flowing? It becomes stagnant. It loses its clarity. Your mind is the same. When you take no action, your thoughts begin to decay, feeding fear instead of progress. Many people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mindset, the perfect certainty. But perfection is an illusion that keeps you stuck. The only way to build confidence, to gain clarity, to transform, is through action, not later, not when you feel ready. Now think of something you've been overthinking, something you've delayed out of fear or doubt. What's the worst that could happen if you acted today? And more importantly, what's the best that could happen? The mind will always create reasons to wait, but waiting only deepens the suffering. Imagine two people standing at the edge of a cold river. One hesitates, analyzing every detail, waiting for the right moment. The other steps in. The shock of the cold lasts only a moment, and soon they are swimming. The lesson? The only way to overcome fear is to step forward. Discipline is not endless planning. It is movement. It is taking the next step. Even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. Every great transformation, every achievement, every success you admire. It all began with someone who took the first step before they felt ready. It is better to take 10 imperfect steps forward than to stay frozen in fear. Even failure is movement. Even mistakes are lessons. But inaction is nothing. A mind that refuses to act is like a blade left in water. It rusts, it weakens, it loses its edge. So start small. Make one decision today without overthinking. Take one action that moves you forward. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to happen. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing. Now ask yourself, what have you been overthinking instead of acting on? And what's stopping you from doing it right now? Discipline. The bridge between pain and peace. Pain is inevitable, but what you do with it, that is what defines your life. Some let pain break them. Others use it as fuel to grow. And the difference between the two? Discipline. The ability to act even when you don't feel like it. The ability to rise when you'd rather stay down. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about liberation. It is the bridge between pain and peace. Imagine standing on one side of a raging river, chaos, fear, and suffering. On the other side, stillness, clarity, and freedom. The only way across, a bridge built with small daily actions. Each step forward, each act of discipline strengthens that bridge. But most people never cross. They sit at the edge, waiting for motivation, waiting for the river to calm, but the river never stops. The only way across is to start walking, even if the path feels unstable. Where are you struggling? Maybe it's your mind, racing thoughts, anxiety, self-doubt. Maybe it's your body, low energy, inconsistency, unhealthy habits. Maybe it's your emotions, reacting instead of responding, feeling trapped in negativity. Now ask yourself, what's missing? The answer isn't some secret trick. It isn't an overnight solution. It's discipline, the simple, unglamorous practice of showing up every day, even when it's hard. Discipline as wisdom. In Buddhist teachings, discipline is not rigidity. It is wisdom, not the kind that burns you out, but the kind that brings balance. It is the practice of showing up for yourself, whether that means meditating for 5 minutes, exercising even when you don't feel like it, choosing stillness over mindless distraction. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. Each moment of practice strengthens your mind, making you unshakable in the face of chaos. But most people wait for motivation. They believe they need to feel ready before they start. That's a trap. Discipline is not about waiting for the right feeling. It is about acting despite your feelings. The strongest minds are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who move forward anyway. Because every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you build trust. And trust in yourself. That is what leads to true peace. Start today, not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Choose one small act of discipline. Wake up earlier. Meditate for 5 minutes before touching your phone. Journal your thoughts instead of drowning them in distractions. One habit, one step, one moment of control. This is how the bridge is built. Now ask yourself, what is one disciplined habit that could change your life? And more importantly, are you willing to take the first step?